Imagine stepping onto the grandest stage in world football, facing a team that literally hasn't played a World Cup match in over half a century, and watching your elite, star-studded attacking system completely freeze. No rhythm, no threat, just a total stall. That is exactly the tactical anomaly we just witnessed with Portugal against Congo. We're going to dive straight into what the data reveals about this incredibly fascinating breakdown today. 75%. Think about that for a second. Portugal held 3/4 of the ball during this match. Usually, holding the ball that much means you're absolutely dictating the game, right? But here's the thing. Possession without efficiency is basically useless. All that time on the ball just resulted in a completely stalled attack against a really tight defensive block. As we unpack the numbers in this explainer, you're going to see exactly why everything just fell apart. Look at this massive disconnect between holding the ball and actually creating danger. Despite dominating possession, Portugal managed literally one single shot on target. Just one. It was a header in the 6th minute and then nothing. Meanwhile, Congo had a mere quarter of the possession, yet they actually generated more total shots, more shots on target, and a higher expected goals total. They were clearly the more dangerous team, even while barely having the ball. So to figure out why Portugal's offense broke down so thoroughly, we've got to look straight at the focal point of their attack. 25 touches. That's it. That is the absolute fewest touches of any outfield player who lasted the full 90 minutes. When you dig into the data and look at the statistical drop in sprint frequency and total distance covered by the striker, it explains exactly why the central pivot is just getting entirely bypassed. The offensive system literally cannot function the way it was drawn up. Let's be real, a traditional striker demands involvement to be effective, but those mere 25 touches translated into just 3 total shots, with 0 actually hitting the target. When you contrast these metrics against the expected output trends for elite tournament athletes, well, a glaring problem emerges. Guys, this marks his 6th World Cup match without a single shot on target. It's not a question of effort, it's just the harsh reality of a tactical system that is completely failing to connect with its target man. And look, this isn't just a one-game fluke or a minor slump. It is the very stark reality of elite athletic aging. Just look at this timeline. We are talking about over 800 minutes of play across 10 consecutive major tournament matches with 0 non-penalty goals since June 2021. The physical demands of the modern game simply outpace the human body at this stage of a career. It's just biology. Pundit Thierry Henry actually broke down a super crucial moment that highlights this perfectly. There was a play where Bruno Fernandes was wide open in a prime scoring position. But the veteran forward actually stepped right into the path of the pass to take the chance himself, and ended up missing. As Henry pointed out, the team needs to score, not you. If he just steps into the 6-yard box, the defender follows him. It's a prime example of how tactical positioning directly impacts team possession efficiency. By stepping into the wrong space out of a sheer desire to break a personal scoring drought, the most effective attacking pathways get completely disrupted. Okay, so it's the 70th minute and manager Roberto Martinez desperately needs a winning goal. The logical move? Bring on a clinical, energetic striker like Gonzalo Ramos. But instead of doing a direct swap at center forward, Martinez actually takes off midfielder Vitinha. He deliberately chose to sacrifice crucial midfield control just so he could keep his struggling veteran on the pitch, right alongside the new striker. Analyst Chris Sutton had a really interesting perspective on this skewed dynamic. He bluntly stated, Martinez is scared to take him off. They've even started calling him the manager of Portugal. Why should you care about this? Well, it really highlights the massive impact player power can have on modern coaching decisions. Just for a bit of context, Martinez substituted his star forward in exactly 1 out of 5 Euro 2024 matches. 1. Now, when Martinez was pressed about this obvious tactical stubbornness after the match, his defense was incredibly revealing. He simply called him the best goal scorer in the history of football. Notice what's happening there. It's an argument rooted 100% in legacy and past achievements, completely ignoring the immediate, factual 90-minute data we literally just walked through. And this brings us to a really fascinating contrast in how legends handle athletic aging. Look at this visual breakdown of the heat map differences. Lionel Messi has adapted by dropping deep into midfield. His heat map glows bright red in those deeper creator spaces, right? He's facilitating faster runners and relying purely on spatial awareness. Contrast that with Portugal's setup. Their veterans' heat map is just a static red dot
right up against the defensive line, acting as a traditional number 9. It's a completely different and, frankly, demonstrably less effective way to handle getting older in an elite sport.
Let's zoom out to the macro data for a second. Across Portugal's last 4 major competition matches, the entire team has scored exactly 1 goal in 396 minutes. 1 goal. The statistical correlation is absolutely clear. Modern tournament success requires massive total team movement. Having a static focal point up top just jams the gears of the offensive machinery entirely. And honestly, the math does not lie. Check out these comparative charts showing team output. With the veteran starting, the team averages 1.9 goals per game, and mind you, that number is heavily skewed upward by a random 9-1 blowout against Armenia. When he doesn't start, the team's production jumps significantly to 2.8 goals per game. The team is just demonstrably more fluid, dynamic, and dangerous when they play without a stationary anchor.
What makes this data especially wild is when you consider the sheer amount of talent just waiting on the sidelines. Portugal seriously boasts one of the most remarkable benches in all of world football. You've got electrifying pace out wide with Leo, you've got masterful midfield control through Vitinha and Bernardo Silva, clinical finishing from Bruno Fernandes and Goncalo Ramos. By forcing the entire system to revolve around one aging player, you are literally sidelining these incredible modern weapons. It's a huge tactical opportunity cost.
And here is the ultimate irony of this whole situation. He wasn't even supposed to play this match. He was actually facing a suspension following a red card against Ireland, but a randomly suspended ban let him step onto the pitch anyway. You kind of have to wonder, if that suspension had held, Martinez would have been legally forced to unlock his bench and experiment with a dynamic modern lineup from the opening whistle.
So we've looked at the touches, the possession metrics, the expected goals, and the undeniable drop in movement. The data paints a remarkably clear picture of a legendary career colliding head-on with the unforgiving reality of elite athletic aging. So I have to ask you, is it time for Portugal to make a permanent tactical shift, or do you still trust the traditional approach to produce one last miracle? I would love to hear your analytical take down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this explainer and want to keep exploring the fascinating data behind the beautiful game, please hit that subscribe button.